Have you ever paused to consider that often life's greatest secrets are hidden in the simplest things? A small detail, a forgotten gesture, something that seemed insignificant, yet carries a power capable of transforming body, mind, and spirit. Imagine for a moment a simple bay leaf, the same one many keep in their kitchen cupboard, used not just to season food, but to season the soul. Now imagine this leaf placed on your navel, that mysterious point at the center of our body, and what might happen when we unite this ancient symbol with a place so charged with vital energy. For centuries, the bay leaf has been considered sacred. It wasn't just a plant used in soups and stews, but a sign of victory, protection, and spiritual connection. Ancient Greeks crowned their heroes with laurel wreaths. Romans used it to mark conquests and honor victors. And as we move through time, we discover that mystics, healers, and scholars of spiritual traditions saw in the bay leaf not just a leaf, but a bridge between the visible and the invisible. Edgar Cayce, often called the sleeping prophet, a man who impacted millions with his spiritual revelations, spoke of how simple gestures could open doors to profound healings. He believed that the human body is more than matter. It is a temple, full of energy centers that, when awakened, align our lives with something greater. And this is where the navel comes in. Have you ever noticed that it is the first scar we carry? It's the mark of our beginning, the link that united us to the maternal womb through which we received nourishment, energy, life. It's not just an aesthetic detail of the body. It is the center of our being, the place that reminds us that one day we were totally dependent on an invisible connection, and that even today, without an umbilical cord, we continue to be nourished by forces we do not see. Some spiritual traditions believe that the navel is a kind of energetic portal, a point of entry and exit for vibrations that shape our physical and emotional state. It's like a silent antenna, tuning into the invisible. Now think with me, what happens when we place a bay leaf precisely at this center? Many ancient accounts say that something extraordinary can be felt. Some speak of a sense of relief, as if a heavy burden were lifted from the chest. Others say they experienced clearer, more vivid dreams, almost like messages sent from beyond. There are those who say the physical body feels lighter, that breathing becomes deeper, and that even persistent pains seem to give way to unexpected well-being. Curious, isn't it? But this isn't just belief. If we reflect, we will see that bay laurel has properties recognized even by science. It is anti-inflammatory, circulation stimulating, and a natural calming agent. When placed at the center of the body, it not only acts physically but awakens a symbolic memory, as if telling our subconscious, you can be free, you can cleanse yourself. And it is precisely this union between symbolic power and the vital energy of the navel that makes this practice so intriguing. Edgar Cayce always spoke about the importance of mind and spirit in the healing process. For him, it wasn't just medicine that healed, but faith, intention, and an open heart. Thus, placing a bay leaf on the navel is not a magic trick, but an invitation. It's as if to say, pause for a moment, breathe. Trust that there is something greater taking care of you. It's simple, so simple it's surprising. And at the same time, it's powerful because it touches not only the body but the soul. Imagine an elderly person who has spent their entire life carrying worries, accumulated pains, memories that weigh them down. By trying this small gesture, they feel relief, as if an invisible weight has dissolved. It's not the leaf itself, but what it represents, the chance to let go, to start anew, to make space for the new. And perhaps that is why so many claim to have felt changes by adopting this practice. It's as if the humble and silent bay leaf is a key that unlocks a forgotten door within us. Now I ask you, what if you tried it yourself? Close your eyes, lie down in silence, place a leaf on your navel, and simply allow yourself to feel. What could happen? Would you notice a peace you haven't experienced in a long time? Would forgotten memories surface, bringing understanding and forgiveness? Or perhaps just a deep and restorative sleep, as if the body, finally, had permission to truly rest. The beauty of this gesture lies precisely in the fact that it requires nothing complicated. There are no secret formulas, no elaborate rituals. It is just you, your body, a leaf from nature, and the willingness to open yourself to the invisible. And perhaps in this simplicity, a powerful truth is hidden, that the greatest transformations begin within us, when we give ourselves the chance to stop and listen to what silence wants to tell us. Many people tend to doubt simple practices. They think, how is it possible that just a leaf placed on the navel can bring any real effect? This distrust is natural, after all. We live in a world that has accustomed us to believe that only the complicated is effective, that only what comes in expensive bottles or complex procedures can yield results. But when we look back at the wisdom of our ancestors, we discover that true healing always began with the essential. An herb, a prayer, a gesture of connection with nature. It is in these small acts that the soul finds space to renew itself. Edgar Cayce said that simplicity was a sign of the sacred's presence. For him, healing was not in something inaccessible, but in what was within anyone's reach. And the bay leaf, so common, so inexpensive, carries this message. The navel, being the point of origin of life, is the perfect place to receive this symbol of purification. Placing the leaf there is like going back to the beginning, to the root of everything, as if we were reminding the body of its own capacity to heal. There are ancient accounts that call this practice silent cleansing. Why? Because it makes no noise, requires no effort, needs no witnesses. It happens in silence while the person rests, surrendering to the process. And in that silence, something within them begins to change. Some describe that after a few minutes, it's as if a warm energy spreads through the abdomen. Others report feeling a slight, almost imperceptible vibration, as if the body is being adjusted by invisible hands, and after that, a deep calm, difficult to explain. Now imagine an elderly couple who can no longer find peace in sleep. Night after night, the mind doesn't stop. Worries invade like waves. The body craves rest, but rest doesn't come. After trying this practice, they report that for the first time in a long time, they were able to sleep deeply. Not because the leaf itself has supernatural powers, but because it served as a focal point, a symbolic trigger that released the body from accumulated tensions. The bay leaf, with its discreet aroma and known properties, created space for the mind to let go of its burden, and sleep finally arrived. There are also stories of people who say they felt emotions emerge when using bay leaf on their navel. Memories from childhood, voices of deceased relatives, images of happy or painful moments that had been stored for decades. This is not magic, but memory. The navel, being the first link of life, holds a connection to all our stories. When something activates it, like the gesture of placing bay leaf there, it's as if a door is opened, allowing old feelings to surface. And when they emerge, the opportunity to heal, forgive, and understand arises. Perhaps you're wondering, but wouldn't that just be suggestion from the mind? And I'll ask back, does it matter? If suggestion can bring relief, if the body responds with well-being, if the soul feels peace, then hasn't it fulfilled its purpose? Cayce said that the mind is the most powerful force in the human being. If it believes, it creates. If it opens, it heals. So even if someone insists on calling it just suggestion, the effect is still real. The body improves, the mind rests, the spirit is strengthened. Another important detail is that the bay leaf has always been associated with victory. Not just external victory from battles or competitions, but internal victory over fears, sorrows, the ghosts that accompany us in silence. Placing a bay leaf on the navel can be seen as a symbolic act of declaring victory over what holds us captive. It's like saying, I am not a hostage of the past. I am not a slave to my pains. I choose lightness. I choose healing. And when this intention unites with the gesture, the result is much deeper than imagined. There is also an energetic dimension to this practice. Many spiritual systems speak of the body as a map of energy centers. Some call them chakras, others vital points. The navel, according to various traditions, is one of these main centers. It is linked to the energy of vitality, personal power, and confidence. When this point is blocked, the person feels fear, insecurity, weakness. But when it is activated, life energy flows more intensely, bringing courage and balance. The bay leaf placed at this center acts as a catalyst, awakening this dormant energy. And that's why for some the sensation goes beyond the physical. There are those who say that after practicing this gesture, they noticed subtle changes in their daily lives, lighter relationships, decisions made with more clarity, a greater sense of self-confidence, as if a fog had dissipated. These changes are not always immediate, but reveal themselves little by little, almost without the person noticing, until one day they look back and realize that something inside them has changed, silently, like a leaf falling from a tree and effortlessly carried by the wind. Perhaps this is exactly what makes this practice so powerful. It reminds us that we don't need grand movements to transform our lives. Sometimes it's just a matter of allowing ourselves, allowing nature to touch us, allowing memory to teach us, allowing faith to guide us. And when we open this space, the extraordinary happens within the simple. And you? Have you ever thought about how many times life has tried to show you that the answer was right before your eyes? How many times have you searched for distant solutions while the key was in something that fit in the palm of your hand? The bay leaf is a symbol of this, small, discreet, almost invisible among so many options, but loaded with an ancestral power that resonates to this day. A power that doesn't depend on complicated formulas, but only on your willingness to believe and experience. It's curious to think about how humans have always sought ways to reconnect with what lies beyond the visible, whether through prayers, rituals, symbols, or even small gestures. There is within all of us this silent desire to feel that we are not alone, that there is something greater guiding and caring for us. A bay leaf resting on the navel might seem like a too simple practice, but precisely therein lies its charm. It invites us to rediscover this lost connection effortlessly, without masks, just with surrender. There is a special power in symbols that cross generations. Bay laurel was used by kings, warriors, sages, and healers. It was burned in bonfires to purify environments, placed under pillows to inspire dreams, and even carried in pockets as an amulet for protection. Each culture used it in its own way, but all agreed on one point. This leaf was capable of warding off what was unhelpful and attracting what was strengthening. So when someone today decides to place it on their navel, they are in fact connecting to a millennial current of meanings, to a collective memory that echoes in the human unconscious. Some people report that when performing this gesture, they feel an emotion difficult to explain, as if they were returning to their mother's lap, to the safe place where everything began. The navel, after all, is our first connection to life, the link that united us to nourishment, warmth, and the rhythm of the maternal heart. When a symbol of protection and victory, like the bay leaf, is placed there, the body seems to recall this original security. It's as if it says, "You are protected, you can rest." And in that rest, the soul opens to receive what it needs. Others say that in the days following the practice, they noticed subtle changes in their behavior. One man who lived anxiously, worried about every detail of his routine, said he noticed that after a few days of using the bay leaf on his navel, his breathing was calmer. He no longer got irritated as easily, and even his wife noticed a new serenity in his gaze. A woman, in turn, said that after weeks of using the bay leaf at night, she began to feel more willing to walk in the morning, something she hadn't done in years. Small changes that combined transformed her life. And here's another secret Cayce often reminded us of. Healing doesn't always happen spectacularly or immediately. Often it presents itself as a fine, almost invisible thread, woven day after day. It is in the detail, in the repeated gesture, in the silent opening of the heart that transformation takes root. So it is with the bay leaf. For some, the effect comes in moments. For others, it reveals itself slowly, like the dawn light that, little by little, illuminates everything around. But there is yet another aspect of this practice that few comment on: the power of intention. When we place the bay leaf on the navel, it is not just an object resting on the skin. It is also a thought, a request, a hope that accompanies the gesture. Those who believe place their faith there, their confidence that something good will come. And this faith is what enhances the effects. Cayce said that every act gains multiplied strength when done with a sincere heart. Thus the bay leaf does not act alone. It responds to the intention of the one who places it, creating a bridge between desire and realization. It is interesting to note how, over time, many who experience this ritual begin to transform it into a sacred moment of the day. Some choose quiet nights before sleeping, to lie down, close their eyes, and simply surrender. Others prefer to do it at dawn as a gesture of preparation for the day, a silent reminder that they are protected and strengthened. There are no rigid rules, because the true power is not in the how, but in the why. What matters is the intention, the heart behind the gesture. And the more people share their experiences, the more the feeling grows that something profound is happening. There are even those who have reported curious coincidences. One woman said that, in the same week she started using the bay leaf on her navel, she received an unexpected call from a daughter she hadn't spoken to in years. Another person said that, after practicing for a few days, they had the courage to make a decision they had been postponing for decades. Coincidences? Perhaps. But for those who believe that the energy we emit returns to us, there are no coincidences, only answers. Now allow yourself to imagine you lying in silence, a leaf resting on your navel, air gently flowing in and out. Slowly, a sensation of warmth begins to emerge, as if the life within you rekindled. Your mind calms, your thoughts slow, and you feel a soft presence, almost invisible, but real. As if someone were telling you, it's all right. You are safe. Trust. In that instant, there are no worries, no past, no future. There is only you and the present, whole, alive, at peace. It is at this point that we understand the true value of this gesture. It's not about instant miracles, but about finding oneself again. It's not about magic, but about memory. It's an invitation to return to the origin, to the center, and to remember that within you already exists everything you need to move forward. The bay leaf merely awakens what was dormant. And perhaps that is why this practice has endured through the years, resisting oblivion. Because it speaks directly to the human heart, that heart which at any age carries the same desire, to feel at peace, to feel protected, to feel whole. Perhaps the greatest gift of this practice is not what happens to the body, but what is revealed within the soul. By placing a bay leaf on the navel, what we are really doing is reminding ourselves that we are still part of nature, still connected to an invisible thread that links us to the divine, to life, and to all who came before us. It is not just a leaf resting on the skin, it is a reunion. A reunion with the beginning of our own story, with the remembrance that the simple can carry within it the most profound of transformations. It is impossible to ignore the symbolic power of this gesture. The navel is the scar of life, the mark of our first connection, and the bay leaf, a symbol of victory and purification, restores our courage to move forward. When the two meet, a silent dialogue is born between past and present, between body and spirit. And in this dialogue we can release old pains, soften anxieties, and make room for new energies. It's like sweeping the house of the heart, expelling the dust accumulated over the years and allowing light to enter through the windows again. And how many of us carry burdens that no longer make sense? How many hold on to memories that hurt, words that got stuck, grudges that turned into silence? Over time, these memories accumulate and steal our lightness. The practice of the bay leaf on the navel may seem simple, but for many, it is precisely this symbolic key that helps release what was trapped. Not because the leaf erases the past, but because it reminds us that it is always possible to start over. Think of how many times life has given you a new chance. An illness overcome, a friendship rekindled, a day when you thought you couldn't, and yet you did. This practice is an invitation to look back with gratitude and forward with hope. It's a gesture that says, there's still time, there's still space for healing, for love, for peace. And this certainty is the greatest gift we can carry in old age, the certainty that it's never too late to renew ourselves. Some who have adopted this practice report discovering a new ritual of faith. They don't just see the bay leaf, but a symbol of divine presence, a daily reminder that there is a greater force caring for every detail. Others have turned the gesture into a moment of prayer. They lie down, place the bay leaf on their navel, and in silence make a request a plea, a conversation with God. And in this simple act, they find peace. Because faith, when united with any gesture, multiplies its power. Edgar Cayce often said that true healing begins within us. No medicine, no practice, however powerful, will have an effect if the heart is not open. And that's what the bay leaf on the navel awakens: openness. It's as if it tells the body, you can relax. It's as if it tells the mind, you can trust. And the spirit, you were never alone. This reunion with one's own essence is what so many people describe as a rebirth. Imagine an elderly woman who spent years in silence, holding within herself pains she could never express. Upon trying this practice, she cries for the first time in a long time. She cries not from sadness but from liberation. The tears cleanse what words could not. Or a man who, tired of sleepless nights, discovers that with the bay leaf on his navel, his sleep becomes deep, and upon waking he feels renewed, as if life had given him back the youth he thought he had lost. These stories are not about external miracles, but about internal miracles. Miracles that were always waiting for a chance to blossom. And perhaps this is the secret that the bay leaf silently carries, reminding us that the extraordinary reveals itself in the simple. We don't need to wait for grand events to feel the presence of the divine. It is in the small things, in the aroma of a leaf, in the warmth of an embrace, in the silence of a moment to ourselves. When we understand this, our lives take on another color. We begin to see beauty where there was routine, peace where there was anxiety, hope where there was fear. Now pause for a moment and imagine, what if you gave yourself this opportunity? If you set aside a moment of your day for this simple gesture, if you placed the bay leaf on your navel, closed your eyes and just breathed, perhaps you would feel an unexpected relief. Perhaps a memory would surface. Perhaps a profound peace would take over your being. Or perhaps it would just be a moment of silence. But in that silence, who knows, you might hear the gentle voice of life saying, you are on the right path. And if this touches at least one person, if this simple gesture brings a little more lightness to someone, then it will have fulfilled its purpose. Because what truly matters is not the leaf itself, but the experience of opening up, of allowing oneself, of believing. If this story spoke to your heart, let it continue beyond you. Share it with someone who might need this gesture. Write in the comments what you felt, or tell your own experience, because your story might be the missing key for someone else. And if you want to keep receiving more content like this, full of meaning, hope and connection, subscribe to the channel. Here, every video is an invitation to see life with new eyes, softer, more confident. Because in the end, it's not just about a leaf on the navel. It's about rediscovering the sacred in the simple. About remembering that within you already exists everything you need. About realizing that victory, symbolized by the bay leaf, is already yours. You just need to allow it to blossom.